So I'll mention two experiences. They sort of are related. The first one is I was in officer training in the military. And again, if you sort of go back to technology of 30 years ago, at that point, GPS was not a map, but it was a set of coordinates. And the military had this device that would show you an arrow that kind of tells you where to follow to get to the coordinates that you put in using satellite technology. I was in the last stage of my officer training and I was selected to, which was an honor based on, it was a very competitive environment. It was an honor based on succeeding in other tasks before. I was selected to command the kind of final simulated operation. And it started with needing to navigate. There was a bunch of military aspects to it, but it was the first part was to navigate about a 20-kilometer distance. And generally, we were always trained not to use GPS, but to kind of read the map and just follow the map. But they encouraged us on this particular thing to use the GPS. And I put the coordinates in, I got one number wrong. And we found ourselves in a totally different place. This is all in the desert. We found ourselves in a totally different place than we were supposed to be. By the time I realized that, look at the map, it didn't end up. Anyway, it ended up in a very failed operation, and I lost my chance to be top of my class as a result of that. Fast forward 6-7 years later, I was with maybe 10. I was with McKinsey in the Philippines doing work that was privatization of an asset, which was an electricity asset. And of course, if you privatize an asset that has regulated pricing, there was a real question between the bidders and the regulators around what would be allowed to do on pricing in the future. So they needed a framework that would last for 30 years. And eventually, I came with this outrageous suggestion that the formula is recursive. And based on that, they could increase pricing forever and it would be allowed. And it just doesn't make any sense. And I went to the client, I went to other people in McKinsey. Everyone thought I'm crazy. Ended up that I was right, and it postponed they had to stop the entire process. Wasn't good for McKinsey. We didn't get some of our fees, but it was the right, it was the reality that it was like a wrong formula. And what kind of to bring those two things together, kind of the wrong GPS coordinates and the wrong government formula, I learned from that more than anything else, the need, and I think this is really critical for roles like CFOs or finance leaders. You have to understand stuff. You can't just follow the numbers, without understanding what they mean.